Hi boys, let's start a new chapter. It's called a graphical representation. Before we move on to the exercise, let's revise a couple of things that we learned last year and in fact even in grade 8. So we learned something about tally marks. Now as the chapter says, the graphical representation, which means we are representing data in the form of graphs so that it's easier to read. So one thing we read was tally marks. When we are counting frequency, we do tally marks. After 4 we do this, and this is counted as 5. Perfect. Number 2, what we learned was exclusive frequency distribution, which is also known as exclusive frequency distribution, which is also known as continuous distribution. Now if I look at an example, for example 0 to 10, 10 to 20, this is my class interval, and 20 to 30, and then I can have some frequency against it, and the next could be 30 to 40. Please notice in this case the upper limit of the one class interval is equal to the lower limit of the next class interval. Now that I've talked about it, I guess you already know the third one that we talked about. It is inclusive frequency distribution. This is also known as discontinuous distribution. Example of this would be, let's say if I have 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40. This is my class interval. Now in this case, notice that there is a diff, and then I will have some frequency against it. In this case, please notice that the lower level of one and the upper level of the next is not same. There is a difference. In this case, the difference is of 1. So such a data of such frequency distribution is known as inclusive or discontinuous. Now all the charts that we learned last year, which is histogram and also the frequency polygon, for that we need a continuous distribution. So how do we convert this from this form to the other? Yes, that is known as adjustment factor. Now what is adjustment factor? In this case, look at the difference and divide it by 2. So for example, in this case, the difference is 11 minus 10. So lower limit of 1 and the upper limit of the previous one divided by 2, and this is 0.5. So you subtract 0.5 from the lower limit and add 0.5 to the upper limit. So this was, so how would I write it? I will write this as inclusive class interval and exclusive class interval. So this is 0 to, no, not 0, 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40. So I will subtract 0.5, 1 minus 0.5, which is 0.5, and I add 0.5 to the upper limit. So 10 plus 0.5, that's 10.5. So my exclusive class interval will be 0.5 to 10.5. Similarly, the next one will be 11 minus 0.5, that's 10.5, and 20 plus 0.5, that's 20.5. Similarly, this becomes 20.5 to 30.5, and this becomes 30.5 to 40.5. Notice that now the upper limit of 1 is equal to the lower limit of the next. So this is how we convert inclusive or discontinuous into continuous. Next one, part number 5. We talked about class size. Class size in this case, let's say in part 2 was if the class is 0 to 10 and 10 to 20, well, my class size will be upper limit minus lower limit. So in this case, it will be 20 minus 10 is equal to 10. Now let's look at the next one. So what did we learn? Class mark. Now what is class mark? Class mark is exactly the middle point of a class interval. How do I find the middle point? So let's look at the same example now. If I have 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. If I need to calculate the class mark, I add lower limit plus upper limit and divide it by 2. That's basically the mean of it, basically the mean of it or the average of it. So it will be 0 plus 10 upon 2, which is 5. Perfect. For this it will be 10 plus 20 upon 2, which is 15. So this is 5, 15, 25 and so on. The next one. So this is a couple of things that I've revised. Let's see what else do we remember from the previous year. So 1 second, let me just erase this. Perfect. So this was, we talked till number 6. So let's talk about number 7. We talked about cumulative frequency. So what is cumulative frequency? A cumulative frequency basically was adding all the frequencies up. So let's take an example. Let's say my class interval is 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and my frequency is 3, 5, 9, 4. My cumulative frequency will be, in this case, 3, and then I add 3 plus 5 gives me 8. 8 plus 9 gives me 17, and 17 plus 4 gives me 21. So this is my cumulative frequency. Perfect. And then we learned how to make histograms. Does anyone remember histograms? Yes. What is the difference between histogram and bar graph? Well, bar graph, between bar graph you have space. Yes, pardon my drawing. All of you know how wonderfully I draw. Perfect. So this is a bar graph. Same unit here, same unit here, same unit, same unit, same unit, same unit. Yes, obviously it's not looking, but these units are the same. This is a bar graph, and in case I need to make the same as histogram, then there is no difference between, there is no distance between each bar. That's a histogram. So we learned how to create a histogram. Histogram always from exclusive data, which is continuous data. Perfect. Number 9. What we also learned was how to create a frequency polygon. Does anyone remember the frequency polygon? Yes. So what is a frequency polygon? So it's a polygon, which means it's a closed figure, and it's a polygon, which means it has straight lines, which we used to draw using a scale. So we learned frequency polygon using many methods. First was using histogram, where we took the class mark as the point which needed to be plotted for the frequency polygon. We learned without histogram, and since it's a polygon, which means it starts from x-axis, and where does it end? Yes, it ends at x-axis. It's a closed figure. So how do I get the first one? This is, we take the one class interval prior to the first one, and we add one class interval at the end. So if this is the example that we were looking at, I would create a class interval of my own, which will be -10 to 0. And what will be the frequency for this? The frequency will be 0, and I will create a new class interval at the end, which will be 40 to 50. And what would have been my frequency? 0. So this is what we learned last year. Just wanted to revise it quickly before we start grade 10 material. Please note in this, there is only one exercise, so I'll be doing only one question per video so that you have enough time to plot it on your own. I repeat, I'll be doing only one question per video, which means this exercise will have at least 8 or 9 videos, which will be shortish videos because I want you to plot it while watching the video. Right? I will see you in the next one. Thank you.